why you trying to know everything is actually ruining your life. And this can apply to anyone. You could be young, you can be old, it could be the middle of your life, you could be having a middle life crisis. And this concept applies to everyone and everything. And I especially think this applies in today's day and age with the overconsumption of information on social media and everything. So I actually wrote my thoughts on this and I wanted to share them with all of you. And I hope it helps because these are some things I've worked through in my life, to think differently and not have so much anxiety. And, so I'm not so timid about starting new projects or starting a new job or whatever it is. And I notice a lot of the problems, it comes from people thinking they know things that they don't because they've consumed so much information without actually experiencing anything. So nonetheless, let's get into my thoughts on this. And yes, I hope this helps. You trying to know everything is ruining your life. In today's world of informational overload, I see so many people stuck in constant loops that are causing them to stagnate in life. People constantly have an opinion on everything due to the constant flow of information that is force-fed to them daily. This unregulated, non-contextual flow of information is detrimental to the human experience and is more than likely one of the main contributors to the skyrocketing rates of anxiety and depression that is appearing in the young and of, as of recent, older individuals. The rise of short-form content has led to the inevitable decrease in a generation's attention span and has single-handedly nerfed an entire generation of creative, well-meaning individuals. So I don't think anyone means to actually be this way, is what I'm trying to say. I actually think the younger generation and the older generation, but it happened to the younger generation first, and now that the older generation's picking up a lot of social media use and consuming a lot of content, it's happening to them now as well. But I think the younger generation is especially well-meaning because in the way they talk and act and everything, they seem to care a lot about their lives and everything, but I think this overwhelming amount of information coming at them all at once it's really making life hard for them to actually do anything. Gen Z, you are not cooked. I'm not here offering this information to make your day even worse and add to a never-ending black hole of reasons that life just doesn't feel worth it anymore. My goal here is to serve this information to you as a means to an end. In other words, I'm giving you a thing you can do to reach a final goal. In this case, I'm serving you this information so you can make a change and get out of the stagnated state of feeling like there's no point in trying this world anymore. You feel that way because while you consume and you think you know so much, in the actual reality of things, you have experienced very little in the real world on the content that you consume. Watching someone practice a video game or a superb golf swing isn't the same as going out and actually doing it. Watching too much of a perfect example almost always leads to informational overload that will probably lead to a paralysis on that topic. The most simplistic example I can give you of this is when you are trying to write down a telephone number or something, and the person, for reasons unknown to any of us, decides to try and read it out to you as fast as possible. You would probably be irritated with that person and tell them to slow down, but when it comes to your own brain, you just keep scrolling through the ridiculous amount of information. Now think if you didn't tell that person to slow down. You'd probably only remember a few numbers, right? Maybe the first 3, maybe the last 4. That's what consuming short-form content is like to your brain. You then walk around life making judgments and decisions based off of corrupt data points. You're probably thinking, wow, that sounds really bad. And you'd be right. That is all pretty bad. But the reasons you can even come to the conclusion and identify all this as a bad thing is because deep down, you do care about yourself. And if you take anything from this video, that is probably the most important thing you should walk away with, is that you do care about yourself. And that's why you acknowledge that these things as being inherently bad. And that is why you feel bad. You probably just didn't know why you did. Now, let's look at some things here and have these things serve to you as a reason as to why things have gotten this way for all of us. Sorry. Because believe it or not, I'm actually considered to be part of Gen Z. Whether or not you guys accept me is entirely a different story. So now instead of the narrative being, hey, the world is completely screwed and all that is out of our control, so all we can do is accept that and feel like crap. Well, first off, yeah, the world is pretty screwed up. And at every evolutionary stage, it has always had some major downfalls and probably always will because, well, that's kind of the paradox of life and human existence, guys. But we don't need to actually get into that to understand this next point. Knowing that you have this problem gives you something you can focus on and work towards fixing. All of life and feeling good about yourself is built on this concept. That is why you scroll in the first place. Your brain is feeding you dopamine to solve a problem and to try and help you escape the feeling of dread. The problem with this is you aren't even in control of what the algorithm is feeding you. And just know that if the algorithm gave you a solution right away, then people who designed the algorithm would be fired because you'd set the phone down right away and they wouldn't make any money. So what's the point? The point is slow down and work on whatever it is that is holding you back from trying new things. When you start a new job, don't tell yourself you know more than those performing better than you because a 30-second video told you so. The nuance, perspective, and information that you will gain from performing everyday tasks at a new job in a new job environment will actually build a real skill and understanding of the world. So many young people go into careers and job surf while gaining absolutely nothing from it because they have this silly preconceived connotation that they already know about everything because of the time they spent doom scrolling about these topics. I'm not telling you to work a dead-end job or stay somewhere that you are unhappy, but what I am saying is get out there, put your hands on things while ignoring the critics. You will be surprised at how quickly you find something that you actually enjoy. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.